Health Podcast, the show where we hope to connect our community with healthcare information that's relatable, understandable, and useful to your life, and where you get to know better your neighbors providing your care here. I'm your host, Carter Anderson, and in today's episode, we'll be discussing obesity management medications with family medicine physician assistant Mary Robinson. Before we get started, 2 quick disclaimers. First, the comments in this podcast do not necessarily reflect the views of Cat's Health. Second, the information in this podcast is not intended to be construed as personal medical advice. Always consult your primary care provider with your questions and concerns regarding your health. Thanks for joining us again today, Mary. It'll be fun to talk about weight loss medications, so we'll go ahead and get started and kind of get right down into it. Over the last couple of years, weight loss medications have seen a huge growth, and the ads are everywhere. Can you tell us a little bit about weight loss medications that are now available?
Absolutely. So yes, in the last probably 2 to 3 years, weight loss meds have become huge because of the GLPs, or glucagon-like peptides. So, and those are the injectables that you see on TV. So that would be Wegovy and that would be Zepbound. Mm-hmm. The reason why they're getting so much press is they are so effective at what they do. But on the opposite side of that is the sticker price. So there are more medications than just those two to help with weight loss that are actually more cost effective. We've had some that have been around for years and years and years. But yeah, so kind of want to break down the different meds.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. I was like, are those two kind of like the big ones just because of all the advertising and promotion around it and stuff? Okay.
Yes. We have other meds that are tried and true. We've used them for years and years. One that we still use, which is phentermine. I mean, it's been around forever and a half. Most people remember it way back in the days of fen-phen, but this is very similar to that. And there's not really much of a huge difference, but the big difference between these medications is basically on how they act. And there are 2 places in the body that the weight loss medications work. It's in your brain and on your gut. So with phentermine, that one is more focused on working inside your brain to increase your neuroendocrine, those hormone levels, to help make you feel fuller faster. So if we bring up like your dopamine, your serotonin, that kind of stuff, then it helps decrease your appetite. Another one that's been around forever and a half is not super popular because the side effects are not awesome. One is called Orlistat or Xenical, which is the prescription form of it, but you also can get that one over the counter, and that is Ally. So that's the medicine that you would take before you eat because it's supposed to help you. Hey, you're not supposed to eat this, and if you eat the wrong thing, then the side effect is diarrhea and gut upset.
Oh, okay.
So it is still available. We still use it. The problem with that one is obviously the side effects, and with that one, average weight loss is roughly about 5%, so it's not as popular. Another big medicine we use for weight loss is also Contrave. It had a lot of publicity probably 5 to 7 years ago. Once again, because a lot of these medications are not covered through insurance, the sticker price with that one. So with that one, it's 2 medications into one pill. It's naltrexone plus Wellbutrin. Wellbutrin is a well-known medication we use for antidepressant that we use for weight loss, anxiety, depression, as well as smoking cessation. So, and how those 2 work together is the naltrexone helps with the binge eating or that food noise. It helps deregulate that, whereas the Wellbutrin also helps with increasing satiety by decreasing within the brain as well. So we have those, and sometimes if we can't get the name brand of that one, I will break them down into 2 medicines and send those in because it's a little bit more cost effective for patients. Topiramate is also another medicine we use for weight loss. Most people use it it's an anti-seizure medication, so obviously we use it for that. Off-label use is for weight loss, so that one also, once again, works in your brain and helps with that. That one is also combined with phentermine to make a weight loss medicine called Kisma, which, once again, sticker shock, but yes.
That's the thing with like all of these, right, is they're all not covered by insurance. That's the big thing with a lot of them, isn't it? Just because of you're paying out of pocket for all these medications.
Yes, 90% of the reason for these meds not covered by insurance is because of, like we talked last time, how obesity is not considered a chronic illness as it is. So, but yeah, they're getting better. And I'm hoping within the next few years, as we talked about last time, we have new medicines coming down the pipeline. I'm hoping as that evolves, these will get more cost effective for people. We do use metformin, which most people know because we use it for diabetes, but we do use it for off-label use for weight loss because what metformin does is it tells your liver to stop producing glucose, helps regulate your insulin by decreasing your insulin resistance. So as treating diabetes, we notice when people start that medicine, most people see a 5 to 10 weight reduction with it. So we do use that sometimes to help, because if we can reduce your insulin resistance, it will help with weight loss. And then the other big one that we use besides the GLPs we can use is Vyvanse, which yes is an ADHD medicine, but it's also indicated for binge eating disorder as well. So depending on you have the right characteristics, if you will, that one is a little bit easier to get covered, but not necessarily.
Gotcha. So that one just kind of depends more on other,
yes,
kind of like other diagnoses and things
yep,
like that.
You got to follow
the
DSM-5 for mental health.
Gotcha.
So
Gotcha. We can kind of get into how those GLPs actually work. Like, what do they do in your body, and why are they so effective compared to the other medications?
So the reason why the GLPs are so effective is because they mimic one of the hormones that is in the hunger full cycle within your body. So they target your stomach, they target your liver. And so what it does is the GLP peptide in your body, along with several others, what it does is it helps slow your gastric emptying so that you feel fuller longer, which then increases your satiety, which then leads to weight loss. So it's helping your body basically upregulate the hormone that's already in your body to make you feel fuller faster. So if your GLP is higher, then it tells your brain, I'm full, and then less eating you have. And where Wegovy is different than Zepbound is Zepbound actually has 2 of the hormones in the hunger full cycle that it works in 2 different places. So they're both very effective, although some say Zepbound is a little bit more effective because it focuses on 2 different areas instead of the one.
If these medications are mimicking these different hormones and indicators in our body, are there ways to like naturally increase it without these medications?
So they do say that there are some natural ways that you can help increase your natural GLP. And a lot of it, like one, which is part of the diet, is telling people to eat more protein, because if you eat more protein, that will mimic full and tell your body to upregulate your GLP in your body. But yeah, there's other hormones, like there's the CCY, the PPK, GIP, GLP, all of those different hormones that play into this, yeah.
So it's not just kind of one thing. There's a lot of different ones.
Fiber, yes, because what it does is it bulks up to make you fuller faster. And people don't like eating all the fiber because then you have flatulence, burping. It can increase how quickly your gut processes things too.
How do weight loss medications work? You kind of, as you went through them, you kind of indicated the different ways that they work.
Yep.
But I feel like we can kind of almost group them into a couple different ways that they work. So some ways they work in your stomach and in your brain, right? Is that kind of the 2 different ways they work?
Yep, the 2 different ways. I mean, one focuses more in one area, but you have to remember your brain and your gut, they work together. So
just depends on which area they target.
Yes.
So who is typically a good candidate for all of these weight loss medications? It kind of seems like there might be one for each person, kind of depending on what they're struggling with or the best one that works for them. So
a lot of how we choose which medications to treat with is 100% patient-based. So if you follow the protocol or recommendations, a BMI of greater than 30, then we're looking at we can treat with medication. If you're less than that, we're probably going to more focus on lifestyle, behavioral management, and nutrition. But like I said, BMI greater than 30, then those are the people we tend to look at for more for the weight loss medications. And so choosing it, a lot of it depends on the person preference, what other health problems they have, what other medications they're on. All that plays into this. So if we have people who have more problems with eating more in the evening, that'll shoot me more towards trying to use like topiramate, because we tend to dose it at night because of the side effect of being sleepy. If we have people who tend to have more issues throughout the day, then we're looking at more like we can do your GLP. I mean, the GLPs we can use at any point, but like some of the other oral medications like Contrave, it's dosed twice a day. So some of those medicines we tend to use more in the morning. It really depends on what's going on. The other big factor that plays into this too is the other medications you're on. So believe it or not, there are, unfortunately, the medications we have to treat other health illnesses and problems, which work great at what they do, but other medications can be labeled as weight promoting, weight neutral, or weight loss. So some of the medications we prescribe are weight promoting for people. So when I see people, I look at their list just because if I can make some changes and tweak those meds to get them off the weight promoting meds, that's going to help us in the long run.
Just so instead of like adding another one on and it clashing with the other
Correct.
medication, just kind of
Yes.
reduce or remove the other one, and then
Yes.
the process will kind of sort itself out.
Yep, because
Gotcha.
if you're on something that's going to make you gain weight, then if
Right.
we're trying to give you medicine to help you lose weight,
Right.
we're kind of defeating the purpose. So
Exactly.
there are some times that we have to kind of navigate around that. And I know unfortunately, a lot of our mental health meds tend to be more weight promoting. So that's where coming into play, working with the other providers that you see is a huge thing. So I know with our mental health providers here in town, I have people who are wanting to lose weight. So I will actually reach out to them and say, hey, this is what this patient wants. Can we try to go more towards these medications versus these other ones to help with that?
Gotcha, because you kind of know which of those are labeled as kind of weight promoting or
Yes.
things like that. Gotcha.
Yep.
Very cool.
Yep.
Awesome. How effective are weight loss medications in achieving weight loss compared to lifestyle changes alone? Are these medications more effective when combined with positive lifestyle changes?
With most of these medications, I mean, some people won't lose weight at all. Some people are overachievers and will lose much more than the predicted amount. But most of the medications, if you're going to see a weight loss, depending on the med, it's anywhere from 5 to 25% of your weight. However, medications are not the end all and be all. The nutrition and exercise, like we talked about last time, those 4 pillars, they all work together and we need to do all of them.
It's not just this magic tool that fixes
Correct.
everything. You have to make these other modifications.
Yes, it is not a magic wand.
Right, to make it work as effectively as possible. Right?
Correct, yes.
Cool. Do you make any specific recommendations on lifestyle changes or habits for patients kind of starting these medications? Like you said, kind of pairing it with those other 4 pillars, but is there anything else specifically?
So once again, it's all patient driven. So depending on where they're at in their journey, I mean, that's where we're going to focus on nutrition, what they like, what they want, what we can do within their means, and same with activity. It all depends on where they're at and where they're starting. So yeah, once again, as we talked about, a lot of this is 100% patient driven and where they're at and meeting them where they're at with all this.
Meet them where they are and then go from there.
Correct.
Sounds awesome. What are the common side effects associated with weight loss medications, and how can patients kind of manage these?
Oh, yes. So, unfortunately, medications we prescribe, not all of them come with their risks and benefits, and yes, they all come with side effects. So some of the medications, like one big thing we worry about with like phentermine and Contrave, they have a tendency to increase your blood pressure. Not everybody has that. However, if you do have high blood pressure and we want to think about using those meds, that's something we're going to need to watch closely. Most patients that we put on phentermine, we tend to see them monthly to watch that extremely closely. If we're looking more at our GLPs, then our biggest issues are the GI symptoms. So nausea, upset stomach, it can make acid reflux worse. Some people have diarrhea, some people have constipation, you can have bloating. Especially when I do a lot of my coaching or training when it comes to GLPs, we talk a lot about if you get to that point where you feel full with these meds, which is what they're supposed to do, don't push past. If you push past that feeling full symptom, you're more likely to have side effects. I also talk with those that specifically always talk about heavy carb meals. You want to avoid eating all your carbs in one sitting because if you do, you're more likely to have side effects. Also with those, fatty foods, horrible. So my example is McDonald's, when you're on these meds, is extremely a bad idea and recommend not to. Sometimes too with GLPs, carbonated beverages can be an issue because it can cause more bloating. So I tend people to try to back off those and see how you do. If you do okay, then you can still use them, but recommended that you don't. So yeah, a lot, like I said, most of the big side effects are nausea, vomiting, diarrhea. Some of the medications can cause headaches, which I've seen. Metformin, if we do use that for weight loss, we've got to watch closely because it can cause deficiencies in vitamin B12. If you use Orlistat or Ally because it causes the diarrhea, you can have increased risk with deficiencies in like your fat-soluble vitamins. So we talk about multivitamins with those as well.
So kind of a couple different ways to supplement with those medications if needed, but
Yes.
just always kind of watching and monitoring it.
Yes.
Gotcha. What do we know about the long-term safety and effectiveness of weight loss medications? And are patients on these medicines forever?
So we're learning more and more. So the big question right now is, what is the long-term effect of the GLPs? We're still learning. So I know there's been some research out that they've seen an increased risk for gallstones. However, when you have a rapid weight loss, that also increases your risk for gallstones. So I don't know if it's necessarily going to be hand in hand. We will see. There is still so much more research going on with the GLPs because we've also noted more benefits with some of those medications, like Zepbound. It was for weight loss, but it also now is indicated for people who have moderate to severe obstructive sleep apnea. Wegovy is also now indicated to anybody who has cardiovascular disease. So we're seeing improvements in some other areas of people's health with these meds that we're going to see more of those become indications as we go down the road. As far as, otherwise, the other medicines we've had around for a long time, for the most part, they're very safe. There are some rare side effects and complications that can happen, and if they do, we stop those medicines. I know with some of our oral medicines, glaucoma can be an issue, so we watch for that closely. The GLPs, we also worry about chronic pancreatitis, which is also something that's always on my radar. It also has an extremely rare eye complication, so also counsel patients, if you're on GLPs, you need to be seeing an eye doctor every single year so that they can keep a close eye on that as well. So yeah, they don't come without the risk. No medication does. But yeah, those are the things that we watch for very closely.
That's what I was just going to say, like the warnings and risks of every medication
Absolutely.
Are, right? It's like they have to document everything that
Yep,
happened in the trial, and so.
Yep, and also in the GLPs, I know one of the big things that we also check for is if there's a family history of thyroid medullary cancer or MENS 2, that is an absolute no reason you can't use those meds because of that. So.
Yeah.
And most people look at me when I ask that question. I'm like, if you don't know what that is, that means you don't have it in your family, so we're good to go.
If that sounds like a foreign language, that's a good thing.
Right. And then the second part of that question was medications. So as we discussed last time, obesity is a chronic health condition. So the likelihood that people are going to be on these medication lifelong is yes. We might be able to stop them at some point, but we've also noticed when we had a lot of people using Ozempic for weight loss, and then we had that turnaround that's saying that Ozempic is strictly for diabetes, and we had to take people off of that, we noticed that weight came right back. So yeah, it's a chronic disease. Most of these people will be on medications the rest of their life.
As people continue with taking those medications, if they kind of get to where closer to their goal weight or to kind of where they want to be, if there's like a reduction in dosing, if that helps at all, or if it's kind of like stays consistently with the amount that they're on, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes complete sense. And that's so, like I tell patients, weight loss is the easiest part of this. Mm-hmm. Losing the weight is easy. Maintenance is going to be the hardest and roughest part of all this because that's something you're going to be doing the rest of your life. And so like with the GLPs, I have had, we're still fairly new working on doing this with our program here at Cass Health, but I have noticed that once we've got people, I've got a few that have finally got to where they want to be, that they're happy with, that with the GLPs, yes, I've actually backed down their dose for maintenance specifically. Mm-hmm. For that reason. So yes, we can lower doses on some of these to help with maintenance, but yeah, once again, all 100% patient-based.
Right. It's a different journey and experience for everybody. So,
yes.
Awesome. Some of these medications can be really expensive, as we've talked about.
Absolutely.
Does insurance ever cover the cost? What type of out-of-pocket expenses are typical for people on these medications?
So, yes, we do have some coverage. Once it 100% is based on what your insurance policy says. I don't ever guarantee any patients that they're going to cover these meds. I said I will try my hardest. We will run it through 90%, especially with the GLPs. We're going to get kicked back and have to do a prior authorization, and I go through that process no matter what. And even with the prior authorization, if it gets denied, I will go ahead and do an appeal anyways, because the only way we're going to change this is constantly coming back at them. And so I've even told patients, I'm like, talk to your doctor. Talk to your insurance company, talk to your employer about adding obesity medicine to your formulary. That's the only way this is going to change. So it's hard to say exactly how much things are going to cost. I looked at GoodRx last night just to give kind of a ballpark with some of these medicines. I can tell you that Kiesma, Saxenda, which is just like Zepbound and Wegovy, Contrave, Wegovy and Zepbound, all of them through the companies that make them do have a program to help make things a little bit more cost effective, if you will, than the sticker price. Because those injectables, because of how they're made and how they're given, because it's an injectable, they tend to be more expensive. So if you were to go into the pharmacy just to buy those right off the shelf, they're going to be probably $900 to over $1,000. However, through those companies, if we go through their programs, like Wegovy, right now, your first dose is $299, and that's through their pharmacy, and then after that, the dose goes up to $499. With Zepbound, the first dose, which is 2.5 milligrams, that one starts at $349, and then it's $499 after that, specifically through their programs. Contrave, if you go through their program, you can get as low as $99 a month, but they have a program, and so does Kiesma. They have, I can't remember that one right off the bat, but they have one that's right around $99, $100 as well. Now, phentermine, naltrexone, metformin, topiramate, all of those are fairly cost-effective cash price. We're talking anywhere from $10 to $50. So they're not horrible, But yeah, Vyvanse is going to be a little bit harder, and that one's a little bit more expensive. Like I said, most of these I pulled off of GoodRx. That was averaging about $100. So ironically, with phentermine, we can get that one most of the time covered through insurance. However, in the state of Iowa, there is a stipulation. Phentermine for them is short-term use. So for 12 weeks, they will cover it. After that point, it's considered off-label use, so then you will be paying a different price for it. Yeah, and there's a lot of states that are actually like that with phentermine because it's supposed to be like a kickstart. But we have found that phentermine over the years, it's actually fairly safe, and people can be on it lifelong too. So
it's just super interesting to hear. Like you said, it helps with all the different benefits after they've been on the medications for a little bit of time. It's like, this is a chronic condition, and these medications help with everything. It's not just the weight loss that it does. It like helps reduce other conditions and stuff like that. So it's like you said, just got to keep hammering away at those insurance companies to get it to where stuff can get covered. So
and talk to your representatives too for at the federal level. I mean, that's where they've been trying to push the bill through for obesity to be recognized as a chronic health condition. So talk to them too.
Did I dream that we talked about that last time? That they were like, were they meeting about that last week?
We talked
or not?
about
I couldn't remember.
The OMA and the AMA took a bill to them in April.
Gotcha.
If you go to the Obesity Action Coalition, they actually have a letter you can go and sign, and it gets sent to President Donald Trump. So, I mean, you can even go on that website and do that too.
Way. Okay.
Yep.
Very cool. Are there still shortages on these medications? Can patients easily get these prescriptions filled at the Cass Health Pharmacy?
As of right now, the FDA says there is no shortage anymore. So, yes, Cass Health does have these medications, so do the other pharmacies in town.
Awesome. So they are easily accessible here.
They are easily accessible if you can afford them.
Right. As far as the discounts and stuff are concerned that you just kind of chatted through with us, would they have to go through like a provider like yourself to receive those discounts, or can anyone just go out and kind of access those discounts from those websites and those different manufacturers?
So with those, you have to have a prescription for all these medicines. So as a provider, I go through the pharmacy. Like with Contrave, the patient can actually go sign up for it through their access point, but they have to have the prescription on the backside. And then like with Lilly and Novo Nordisk, I have to send the prescription through their pharmacy, and then the pharmacy actually will contact the patient to make an account and all of that. So
could a primary care physician help with something like that, or would they kind of have to all come see you here at Cass Health?
So if your primary provider is very comfortable in treating this and prescribing these medications, no, they can do it.
Okay.
100%.
Cool.
Any provider who is comfortable with these medications can do it.
Awesome. What advice do you give to patients to help them set realistic expectations when starting weight loss? And what's the first step they need to take?
This is a fun question.
Yeah.
The big thing, because everybody wants, we live in a society of we want things right now.
Mm-hmm.
We want instant gratification. Weight loss is 100% not that. So I try to explain to people, you have to remember the weight didn't come on all overnight.
I was just going to say that, like it didn't happen overnight.
Correct.
Like
it's going to be a slow process. And I know people get frustrated hearing that, but if we lose the weight slowly, you are more likely to keep it off.
Mm-hmm.
So I always tell people our goal is 1 to 2 pounds a week right off the bat, which most people do for the first 2, 3, 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that point, then we kind of see where we kind of fluctuate up and down. So if we slow down to even if it's 1 to 4 pounds a month, we're still doing great. You're still moving those numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Any weight loss is better than nothing. And I know a lot of people fixate on those numbers of what your weight is. I look at percent lost. So yes, we use BMI as one of our benchmarks for diagnosing obesity.
Mm-hmm.
So being able to watch that number come down is great.
Mm-hmm.
We always, and I know everybody always has their ultimate goal, but we need to break it down into smaller goals.
Right. Like you said, that goal setting, those smart little attainable goals kind of as you work your way down, and then pretty soon you're kind of towards where your goal weight is and where you'd like to be. So.
Absolutely, yeah. So like I always tell everybody, our first goal, we're shooting for at least 10%. 10% will make a huge difference in your health, and so that's where we start. And then once we reach that goal, then we set the next one. So, yes, it's going to be slow, it's going to be frustrating, it's going to be challenging, and it's going to be hard. But that's why you got to have your tribe with you and have the support of your provider, because that's what you're going to need as you go through this. Like we talked earlier, weight loss is easier than the maintenance phase. So once we get there, that's when we really rely on those other pillars of nutrition and behavior modification and exercise is a huge thing. Like we talked about last time too, as far as expectations, we got to find things that you love. We got to find the things that are going to make it easier for you. So if you have different exercises that you prefer to do, let's do those. With your diet, if you have certain things you prefer to eat, let's build around that. We want to make this as easily and seamless for the patients, but yeah, we got to put in the effort, both directions, unfortunately.
Absolutely. That effort will go a long way in making this a lifelong lasting change that people want to see. So thank you so much for joining us today to chat about weight loss medications, kind of in our weight loss series here. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah.